Judit Polgár was born in 1976 in Hungary, the youngest of three sisters. Her father, László Polgár, was a psychologist with an unusual theory. He believed geniuses were made, not born.
Before I was born, my parents decided that I was going to be a genius.
His famous quote, "Geniuses are not born, they are educated and trained," became the foundation of his unconventional approach to raising his daughters. Before having children, László was fascinated by the idea of hyperspecialization and intense training in a single field. He studied historical geniuses and concluded that talent was largely a result of structured education and practice from an early age. He wanted to prove his theory by raising his own children to be champions in a specific discipline. Instead of attending traditional school, the Polgár sisters were homeschooled, with chess forming the core of their education. They studied chess for several hours a day, analyzing games, solving problems, and playing against strong opponents. Their home was filled with chess books, and grandmasters were often invited over for training sessions. Despite criticism from Hungarian authorities and educators who worried about their lack of formal schooling, László and Klára Polgár remained committed to their method. Judit was the youngest of three sisters, but she wasn't the only chess prodigy. Both of her older sisters, Susan and Sofia Polgár, also became highly accomplished chess players. Susan was the first of the sisters to achieve international fame. She became the first woman to earn the title of grandmaster through tournament play. Nona Gaprindashvili had received the same title earlier, but through honorary norms. Sofia was considered the most naturally gifted of the three sisters. She had an intuitive and aggressive playing style.
I was afraid to lose the respect. I was afraid to lose the respect, but now I have understood.
It is the very first and the very last you ever won the game against me. I'm sorry.
But I won it
Well,
anyway.
you won it. Well, the very first and the very last in your life, yeah.
Really?
Her most famous tournament was in 1989 Sack of Rome, where she dominated a field of grandmasters with a near-perfect score of 8.5 out of 9. Unlike her sisters, Judit never competed in women's-only tournaments, except for the Chess Olympiad as a child. She and her father believed that women's competitions were unnecessary, and that female players should compete on equal footing with men. This made Judith's rise even more impressive, because she was playing against the best players in the world from a very young age.
And how do these guys react when you beat them?
Well, they are not happy, especially when I was little. It was very difficult for my opponents. First grandmaster I beat, he took it very difficult. When he left the hall, he was hitting his head in the elevator. So, I mean, everybody's handling it in a different way.
In 1988, Judith and her sisters made headlines when they led Hungary to victory at the Chess Olympiad, defeating the Soviet team that had dominated women's chess for decades. But Judith wasn't interested in playing in women-only tournaments. She wanted to compete with the very best, men and women. While Susan was the first to earn the grandmaster status and Sofia showed flashes of brilliance, Judith was the one who broke into the world's elite, consistently ranking among the top players in the world and competing at the highest levels throughout her whole career.
Judit from Budapest was up against Israeli grandmaster Yair Kreidman. Needing just a draw to win the whole tournament, she easily took the title.
By the age of 12, she was already ranked among the world's top 100 players.
Do women make bad chess players?
Oh, they're terrible chess players. I don't know why. I guess they're just not so smart.
Does this apply to all women, do you think?
Well, I guess so. I don't know. They have never turned out a good woman chess player. Never one that could ever stand up against a man in the history of chess.
Would you call yourself a misogynist?
Excuse me, what's the definition of that word?
A woman hater?
No.
At 15, she became the youngest grandmaster in history, breaking Bobby Fischer's record. Despite her success, many in the chess world were skeptical. Some believed women were naturally less suited for the game. Even former world champion Garry Kasparov dismissed women's chances, claiming they lacked the necessary fighting spirit to reach the top. In 1994, Judit faced Kasparov for the first time. In a controversial moment, Kasparov changed his move after releasing his piece, a violation of the rules. But the arbiter did not enforce the rule against him. Judit had no choice but to continue the game, and she lost. However, she didn't let the experience discourage her. Over the years, Judit continued improving, defeating some of the world's strongest players, including former world champions Anatoly Karpov and Anand. But one victory stood above all the rest. In 2002, Judit finally got her rematch against Kasparov.
It was a very special psychological match with Kasparov for many, many years. I sit down at the table, I have all the respect to him, he's the world champion. And then somehow you don't have the self-confidence, the knowledge. He has this appearance that you should know already before the game that who wins the game, right?
These arbiters start the clocks.
It was Russia against rest of the world. I was part of the rest of the world team. Somehow he chose the very bad opening, I think. It was the Berlin defense, and I took my chances. I played a solid game, and he made a few mistakes, and I took advantage of them. On Gary, you can see it very well. With his body language, his movements, he's shaking his head, holding his head. And of course, I saw it on the board, what's going on.
This time, there were no rule violations, just a clean, fair game, and Judit won, making history as the first woman to ever defeat a reigning world champion in a classical chess game.
Okay, so I'm going to go to what you said, Gary. Let's just say what you said in the past, in 1989. In the past, I've said that there is real chess and women's chess. Some people don't like to hear this, but chess does not fit women properly. It's a fight, you know, a big fight. It's not for women. Sorry, she's helpless if she has men's opposition. I think this is very simple logic. It's the logic of a fighter, a professional fighter. Women are weaker fighters. Gary Kasparov, do you still believe that?
We all make, mistakes, and by the way, it was just in the beginning of Polgar's story, and frankly speaking, in 1989, we yet to encounter a female player of that strength that could prove us wrong.
Judit reached her peak rating of 2,735, ranking among the world's top 10 players. Her style was aggressive and tactical, always looking for attacking chances. Unlike many positional players, Judit was known for bold sacrifices and dynamic play. Her creativity over the board earned her the respect of even her toughest opponents. In 2014, after nearly 3 decades at the highest level, Judit Polgár retired from competitive chess. But she didn't step away from the game entirely. Instead, she focused on promoting chess education, writing books, and organizing tournaments to inspire new generations of players. Judit's impact can be seen in players like Hu Yifan and other rising stars who now have more opportunities to compete at the highest level. She didn't just prove that women could compete with men in chess, she proved that the board has no gender.
Earlier this week, I spoke to Magnus Carlsen, who's the best the player in the world right now, isn't he?
Yes.
And I asked him about you, and asked him to describe you, and he said, she is very aggressive, and she's very dangerous.
Well, actually,
how do you like that description? Is that precise?
It's good that you asked him now and not 2 months before, because I played with him in Mexico in December, so I think he said it by his own experience.
Judit Polgár's story is about more than just chess. It's about challenging assumptions, pushing boundaries, and proving that talent and hard work, not gender, determine success.
Check. Okay. Again, I have just one move, right?
Well, you have one move to go with your king.
Yes, this is the only one I can play.
And I would go checkmate with queen g5.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Judit Polgár.
Thank you.